Hi, oh boy, red marks. Anyway, okay, I took oh boy, that looks bad. Okay, I really do want to do this video though. Um, I took a walk outside. It's very cold, but I took a walk. I feel a bit better now. Reason I look kind of like this is because as you can see, I don't know. I guess um, I haven't been shaving today nor yesterday, so I shaven a little bit. I think the day before. Anyway, um, it does a number on my skin, so I'm letting it heal up. Kind of. You can. I didn't notice when I started this video. I didn't notice that I was just trying to get rid of some dead skin and so forth, and I got the red. Shows up really poorly. It's probably also the lighting conditions, but I want to share something with you. Um, I wanted to share something that I had started some time back. Um, Unfortunately, again, I was feeling low at that point when I was doing those videos, and I wanted to. I was thinking about something I hadn't done. I mean, doing something. Fortunately, I hadn't done. But I did want to do this in a pause. I was talking about my early, I was talking about things that I wanted preserved on for the sake of history on YouTube and so forth. But I want to share my earliest memories, and this is a more this is still constructive. They were both constructive, but I want to um, share my earliest memories so that I could um, figure out uh, like piece together my early history because I can't remember really. It seems I can't remember up until about age 7. Um, I'm looking into my mom's history and background. I had been anyway. So I wanted to basically piece together the first few years of my own life because um, they're my own life. And anyway, I thought maybe you might be interested, you might be curious as well. So, um, anyway, I was born in November 14, 1975, and I was in a Boston hospital. Now, this is according to the evidence that I found from what my mom has said, and I found my birth certificate and so forth. So I remember, and I have some photos of presumably me living in a house, um, and when I was really, really young. I don't remember what I was doing with those, when those photographs were taken. Beyond that, I remember like sitting at a table, and I remember like a sky blue small bowl, and I remember like sitting up at a bar stool at home, like a row of bar stool chairs and a countertop, and both my mom and my dad would have been living with me. From what I reconstructed, uh, my mom probably took me around 1981. Um, it would have to have been after December 1980 because that's when my mom's father died, and I think it was December. But anyway, 1980, and uh, she said some anecdote about talking with her brother and it being uncomfortable for her, and she could only be able to get through it by looking at her husband. So I know that I was living with both of them in 1980. So, and plus I have photocopies that she saved of like Greyhound bus tickets and hotel stay tickets and so forth. So, and I haven't looked at them in a while. They're somewhere here, but as I recall, that would have been 1981. So I guess 1981 would have been a big year. Um, Now, and I've mentioned before being a toddler and so forth. And my mom said that I had been taken to see Star Wars. That came out in May 1977. So she said that I fell asleep before the movie began, and then I woke up after the movie had already ended. So I was probably there with both mom and dad, mother and father. Um, anyway, 1981. My earliest memories beyond that were in Winnipeg. Although, as a child, I remember saying Ontario too, and I've checked since then. And I was living with my mom in Ontario, but I don't remember really anything about that. I My strong memories, like as I remember being an adult, were in Winnipeg, and I won't give the name. I didn't even bother to look up the name of the address of where it was, but I have all that information. What do I remember? Um, well, my mom said that she had a dog that was growing up, and I I'm blanking on the name right now, but I remember reconstructing it and me being born during the time that she had a dog. Um, and then, all right, so in Winnipeg, it seems that she had found someplace to live that was being like rented out, and it was a house. It was a two-story house, um, and I remember the ground floor. I was thinking of making a map, but I won't get into the map right now. Um, there was a living room, and then there was like a play sort of linoleum room beyond that. And then there was a bathroom and my own bedroom, and my mom would have had a bedroom somewhere. And then there was a kitchen in the back, and there were some woods in the back beyond that, or a woodsy trail. Um, and I remember going to school. This would have been, at some point, I would have attended first grade. I definitely remember attending first grade. And we went home for lunch, and then we would go back back to school afterwards. And I had to take French during that time. Um, there was a Mr. Donut nearby, and I remember my mom frequently ordering pizza and a delivery man to come and deliver the pizza, and likewise with Chinese food. And I remember the Chinese food tasting really nice. Right, so that was Mr. Donut, and then I remember the in terms of toilet, I had like a potty chair, like a plastic potty chair, um, and I the washcloths. I had like a few cloth washcloths, and we did. I don't remember us using paper towels. At least I didn't use paper towels, and the washcloths would have to be obviously washed after having been used, which seems awkward. It seems weird now, but that's what I remember. Um, and I remember ice skating on the weekend. It was either Saturday or Sunday, but my mom signed me up to do. I have ice skating lessons, and I didn't really like it that much. I'd rather stay home. I remembered watching Looney Tunes. Um, what other TV shows did I remember watching? I remember Mr. Dress Up, and I remember the Muppets. These were the first shows I watched. I Dream of Jeannie, Mr. Dress Up, the Muppet Show, Looney Tunes, or I don't know which version of Looney Tunes it was. It was the one where in the opening theme they would sing the overture's about to start, the height of heights, da 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 da. That's that one. Um, and then Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and of course Flipper. Those are the shows. And I remember my mom frequently going to the store for me, and she would come back home. Um, she would go to Safeway to get groceries. And I remember there was one time when, uh, while she was gone as a prank, I moved the refrigerator all the way across. It wasn't that long. It was, I guess, large for a little kid, but to show off my strength, I moved the refrigerator over to the other side of the room or something like that while she was gone as a prank. Um, and I remember talking with kids in school. This would have been first grade. There was a kid that I don't want to say palled around with, but he was familiar, and for some reason, I remember being with him outside of school. Um, and I remember uh, whenever I would hear something that rhymed, I would say, "Oh, I'll put that in my rhyming book," even though I didn't really have a rhyming book. I would just say that. And I think at one point I started a rhyming book. Um, and my mom was interested in getting me into gardening. I remember her buying these small packets of seeds. They would be in like a it's a plastic packet, and you open the, it would be like a square rectangular packet. You rip it open, and um, I guess it would have been in the front somewhere. We had a nice lawn, back lawn, front lawn, and I guess she wanted me to get into gardening. There would be tomato seeds and different vegetables, seeds of vegetables, um, and the way I calculated it, first grade would have been 1982, 1983, because later on, second grade, I would have been someplace else, would have been 83 to 84. Third grade would have been 84 to 85. Fourth grade would have been 85 to 86. Fifth grade is 86 to 87. Sixth grade was 87 to 88. I'm positive of that. So, assuming I didn't skip any year or repeat any year or whatever, and my mom said that I hadn't, my first grade would have been 1982, 1983, and I was born at the end of 75, so however that calculates, my age would have been. And I remember sometime during the winter, there was a frost on the window, or at least we would have a cutout of like a thin paper with designs on them, and we would uh, punch out or somehow create the. We would somehow have make those into stencils. I guess they were. I remember them as being purchased that way, and we would hold the stencil up the paper. I'll just call it paper with stenciled cutout aspects inside, up to the wall, or up to the window, and then we would spray something over it, and it would create a pattern. The stencil would enable the spray to come out as a pattern on the window, which is nice. Um, and I remember my mom giving me strangely a different last name to use, and I'm trying to reconstruct that for my memoir that I'm continuing to work on. I want to go back to work on again. I have one already up on Amazon as an ebook, but I want to go back and create a better version of it, flesh it out, um, and telling mom that there was a building, like an office building. I think it was actually called Main Street. We lived along a nice street, and I remember it being something like a cul-de-sac. And then at the end of the street, there was a major, like more of a business street crossing it. And on the other side, where was a business office, and I was walking with my mom, and I wanted to brag, and I said, I work in that business office. Um, and I also remember one time walking home from school, having learned the arithmetic tables, the multiplication tables for the first time, and like 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 2 is 10, and so forth. And I remember stopping, I'm walking, like passing somebody and saying, hey, I know the multiplication tables, and reciting some of them. I don't even remember if it was a man or a woman. I'm inclined to think a man. But anyway, I was proud of myself for that. And I also remember having a workbook at home in my room. I had this large, like, cushion not a large high, but just an adequate size, my own cushion for a bed. And I remember a clock radio, and I remember getting buying a puppet. Well, my mom would have bought it, a puppet of Kermit, and thinking that the body was too thin. It didn't have that nice bulge that you saw in the actual TV show, The Muppet Show. But I still liked the puppet. And we had a couch in the room, what we could sort of call living room, that was at the front part of the house, looking out the window towards the front of the house. And I was the I remember it being a black couch, and I remember in my room, I remember pretending that was like a Genie's bottle, the inside of Genie's bottle. If you've ever seen the TV show I Dream of Jeannie, there was a specific set where Barbara Eden would be sitting in that set, and it was constructed to look like the interior of the bottle. And I remember that. So I must have already enjoyed I Dream of Jeannie then. And I remember Mary Poppins. I must have already seen the movie Mary Poppins because at some point I kind of played dress up, and I came out like wore like overcoat, like just I remember what I like some baggy coat or something, and I was pretending to be Mary Poppins. I went over to my mom and said, "Hey, I'm Mary Poppins," and I remember seeing on TV The Sound of Music, a clip of them eating dinner during the sound. I mean, a clip from the sound, like I remember popping, like starting to watch, like tuning in late to The Sound of Music and seeing them eating dinner and already recognizing that it was from the Sound of Music. So I must have seen it before that. And I may have seen Superman. I think I had seen Superman. I may have seen Superman. I remember not realizing that Superman had red, white, and blue because I would see it on a black and white screen. Um, and let me see what else. There's nothing else I remember right now. I liked Beanie and Cecil. I remember that. And I remember playing on the linoleum floor. I remember the first day of school, I sat down and used regular Scotch tape. It's the thicker kind, not the transparent tape. I guess that's Scotch tape, the masking tape. And I taped, like folded over the tape so as to create a 3D um, a 3D floor plan of the school, and plotting out so that I could tell my mom each day what happened at school. And I had that on part of the linoleum floor in the other room beyond the entry living room. And I remember my mom talking on the phone at one point. Um, it's very important. She said, she talks over the phone. She says it's very important to get her hair done and get an appointment. And I asked her about it like later in life, shortly before her death. And she said, I had an impression something like she was testing it to see if anybody was eavesdropping. And she said that no, it had nothing to do with that. That's odd. I remember Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom would come on frequently. I remember probably even back then it would have been the time I was watching sometimes The Nature of Things with David Suzuki, which I enjoyed, and I remember Flipper, as I said before, and I would play in the tub, or I would sit, reaching into the tub. I remember like a pontoon toy boat thing that I had, and stuff like that. I remember watching Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, watching the animals, the way they move around, especially like tigers and so forth. I was intrigued by that. And then after that, I remember a lot of travel with Greyhound buses. And I remember sometime, I remember, my mom had some books and she put them in a dumpster. I was walking around with her outside. She put them in a dumpster so that she said so that nobody would notice anything suspicious about what we were doing. Um, as if somebody was watching. She didn't want to. I don't know. That's weird. I want to delve. That's the reason I want to delve into the stuff in my memoir. One of the reasons why. And I remember hotels. I remember having a typewriter, but I don't remember an actual, not an electronic keyboard, but or whatever, but an actual typewriter where the arms go forward and bang, smack against the paper. And I remember like a blue ribbon and a black ribbon, a red ribbon, something like that, an actual typewriter. And I remember some Fisher Price toys, and I remember hotel stays, or at least I remember buildings with elevators. I remember having to sit like in a some room, some like formal room with other kids playing with toys. Maybe it was so that my mom could do something and leave me in care of adults, maybe. And let me see if this is still right. It's still running. Okay, good. Um, because sometime when I was recording, I think it ran out of. I think there's a limit on the QuickTime player here that I'm using for video recording. Let me see what else I have. I remember something like granola bars, um, in tandem with taking those Greyhound buses. Let me see if there's anything else. I mentioned that typewriter, um, linoleum, first grade, Beanie and Cecil, Sound of Music, and so forth. Um, I think that's it. Well, I guess. Oh, the first movie that I actually did remember seeing in a theater was Return of the Jedi, and that came out in May 1983. I don't remember exactly when I saw it because it would have been probably in the theater for a while. But that if it was May, then that would have been towards the end of first grade. Um, and I associate it with being in Binghamton in that motel that we stayed in. Um, I associate it more with that, and I don't associate it at all with Winnipeg. I remember my mom, so it's probably that it wouldn't surprise me that we left Winnipeg before May 1983, and that and I also have a bowling award, small bowling award trophy that my mom bought. Both of us went into a trophy store, and I enjoyed bowling at that point. And I remember it's 1982. It had my name. It's like it gave my name's award 1982. So I still have it, hopefully. So I remember us going into the store. So I don't know whether we were in Binghamton or in earlier in Winnipeg, but we probably left Winnipeg and probably settled into Binghamton, and there was probably Albany in there somewhere. Um, Probably by May 1983, because I associated it with Binghamton, seeing Return of the Jedi in the movie theater. And I remember sitting with my mom, and at the point where there's a hologram of Luke Skywalker, and then they point to Han Solo frozen in carbonite, I asked my mom, "Is that Luke?" And she said, "No, it's Han. It's Han Solo." And I remember being in the mall. I remember my mom buying me the Kenner action figures of some of the key characters. She said that later on she said that she specifically tried to get the primary characters in the movie, and she seems to, as she usually was, she was interested, like actively interested and aware. I'm proud of her for being aware of the things I was interested in. like later on with Transformers, she was aware of the characters and nuances and what's going on in the stories I'm watching. So she made sure to get a Hoth battle gear Luke Skywalker and Hoth Leia, and I don't remember the other ones necessarily. Maybe Hoth, or no, a Bespin Han Solo. I didn't have a Hoth Han Solo. A Bespin Han Solo. Those were amongst the earliest figures I had, and action figures. And I remember I linked this with a bus ride home, and alongside, this would be really neat to figure out, a bus ride home. I remember like a car, some motorcycle, or not motorcycle, some bicyclist being hit, and the bus had stopped, and there was somebody urging the bus driver to keep going. Maybe I'm misremembering it. Maybe it's more like urging the bus driver to get help or something, and just sitting there. And I remember having these toys in my hands, looking out the window at what was going on. I may be mistaken, but that would be very interesting if that I could find a date for that. Uh, Probably in Binghamton, there's probably a bicycle accident. Somebody hit, and in 1983, around 1980, like summer 1983, I've wondered about that, trying to track down that date, because that would be linked possibly with when I got my first action figures. And let me see what else. There's nothing else that I can think of right now. So I guess I'll stop this video. All right, until next time. Bye.